The rain fell softly on the city of glass towers. Shadows gathered as the funeral ended. Daniel stood alone, feeling both heavy and empty inside. He had lost a friend, an alien friend who had stood by him through battles and through quiet nights of laughter. Kaelor was gone, and with him, a bond that felt unshakable. The crowd slowly walked away, most of them aliens with glowing eyes and sharp faces. Their voices were whispers. Some looked at Daniel with pity, others with quiet judgment. A human standing in the middle of alien mourning was not a sight they liked. Yet Daniel stayed, staring at the carved stone that carried Kaelor's name. When the call came to gather inside the hall for the reading of Kaelor's will, Daniel almost didn't go. What place did he have there? Kaelor had family, clan, and warriors. Daniel was only a friend. But something inside pulled him forward, as if Kaelor himself wanted him there. The room was silent when the lawyer, an old alien with silver robes, began to read. His voice was deep and smooth, carrying weight. At first, the words were ordinary. Treasures to the clan, lands to the council. But then came the moment that froze the air. In addition to his estate and holdings, the lawyer said slowly, Kaelor leaves the remainder of his fortune, and his life partner, Serai, to Daniel, the human. Gasps filled the room. Some stood up in anger, others in confusion. The name Daniel echoed across the chamber like thunder. Daniel's heart stopped. His chest tightened. He almost laughed, thinking it was a mistake. Him? Inherit Kaelor's wealth? Inherit his wife? The lawyer looked up, his glowing eyes locking on Daniel. It is written here in Kaelor's own hand, he said firmly. By the laws of the clan, Serai now belongs to Daniel. Daniel's mouth went dry. He wanted to protest, to shout, "This isn't right." But no words came. All eyes were on him, cold, sharp, burning with rage and jealousy. From the corner of the hall, a figure rose. She moved slowly, her steps graceful yet heavy with grief. A long veil covered her face, but even through the thin fabric, Daniel could see her beauty. Her silver skin shimmered faintly in the light. Her tall frame was proud. Her eyes glowed softly, though filled with sorrow. This was Serai, the widow of his friend, the one Kaelor had loved. Serai stopped before him, lowering her head. Her voice was soft, like music carried by the wind. "By law, I am yours now," she whispered. The hall grew colder. The aliens watched, waiting for Daniel's reaction. Some sneered, others clenched their fists. To them, he was an outsider stealing what belonged to them. But Daniel's mind was chaos. He didn't want this. He didn't want a woman handed to him like property. Especially not Kaelor's wife. His friend had trusted him. But why this way? Why leave him such a burden? Memories flooded his mind. Kaelor's deep laugh, his voice saying, "You humans, you never see yourselves the way we see you. That is your greatest strength." And then the last words Kaelor spoke to him before the illness took him. "Take care of her when I am gone." Daniel understood now. Kaelor had planned this, not out of cruelty, but out of trust. He knew his clan would tear Serai apart, fight over her, claim her like a prize, so he had chosen Daniel, the one man he believed would not treat her as a possession. But could Daniel do this? Could he protect her? Could he carry the weight of Kaelor's final wish? The murmurs in the hall grew into anger. One alien slammed his fist on the table. "This is an insult. A human cannot hold Kaelor's fortune. A human cannot take his widow." The lawyer raised his hand, silencing them. "The will is clear. The law is binding. Daniel is the heir." Serai slowly lifted her veil. Her face was breathtaking. Delicate yet strong, eyes glowing like stars, lips trembling between sorrow and courage. She looked directly at Daniel, and for the first time, he saw something deeper in her gaze, not just grief, but fear. She leaned closer, so only he could hear. "If you do not accept me, they will tear me apart." Her words cut through him. The fortune no longer mattered. The stairs no longer mattered. It was about her, about Kaelor's last request. Daniel swallowed hard. His voice shook, but he spoke. "Then I will accept." The hall erupted into chaos. Some shouted. Some left in fury. Some glared at him with promises of revenge. But Serai bowed her head, a flicker of relief crossing her face. Daniel stood taller, even as fear gripped him. He had no idea what storm he had just stepped into. But one thing was clear: his life, once simple, had just been bound to hers. As the hall emptied, Serai whispered again, her voice trembling but fierce. "You must protect me, Daniel. They will come for both of us." And in that moment, Daniel knew. This was only the beginning. The night after the will was read, Daniel could not sleep. He sat in the guest chamber of Kaelor's great house, staring at the alien city outside the tall glass window. The towers shimmered with strange blue lights, and far below, shadows moved in the streets like restless ghosts. The echo of angry voices from the hall still burned in his ears. He had inherited wealth beyond imagination, treasures and lands that most humans could never dream of. But none of that weighed on him as much as the woman who now lived under the same roof. Serai, Kaelor's widow, Kaelor's love, and now, by law, his. Daniel's heart twisted at the thought. He had never believed in owning anyone. He had fought beside Kaelor because of friendship, not power. But this law, this alien custom, had forced Serai into his hands, and Kaelor had trusted him to keep her safe. A soft knock at the door broke the silence. Daniel turned. His breath caught when Serai entered the room. She was dressed in a simple flowing gown of pale silver, her dark hair braided with small crystal beads that glimmered in the light. Her beauty was unreal, yet her expression carried sorrow that no jewel could hide. "May I sit?" she asked softly, her voice carrying a faint melody, like the sound of water flowing over stone. Daniel nodded, unsure of what to say. She moved gracefully across the room and sat opposite him. For a moment, neither spoke. The weight of Kaelor's absence hung between them. Finally, Serai broke the silence. "You did not ask for this?" she said, her glowing eyes watching him carefully. "But the law does not care what you or I want." Daniel leaned forward, his hands clenched. "I don't see you as property, Serai. I never will. Kaelor was my friend. He asked me to protect you, not to own you." Her lips curved faintly, not quite a smile, more a sad shadow of one. "That is why he chose you?" she whispered. "He knew the others would fight for power, for wealth, for me, but you would fight to keep me safe." Daniel swallowed hard. Her words brought both comfort and fear. Comfort that Kaelor had trusted him so deeply, fear that he might fail. "Safe from what?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. Serai lowered her gaze, her fingers brushing the beads in her hair. "Kaelor's death was not natural," she whispered. "There are those in his clan who wanted him gone. They want his fortune, his secrets, and me." Daniel's blood ran cold. The whispers, the glares, the anger he had seen. It all made sense now. He was not just an heir. He was standing in the middle of a storm that wanted to swallow Serai. "They will come for you," she said, her eyes lifting to meet his. "And when they do, they will take me, unless you are strong enough to stop them." Daniel sat back, the weight of Kaelor's trust pressing even heavier on his shoulders. He was only a man, a human outsider in a city of powerful aliens. How could he protect her from warriors, assassins, and clans that had ruled for centuries? As if sensing his fear, Serai rose and moved closer. Her presence was both gentle and fierce. "Do not mistake me for a fragile jewel," she said firmly. "Kaelor taught me to fight. I can defend myself, but the law is against me. Without you, they will claim me. They will strip away Kaelor's legacy. You are the shield he left behind." Her words lit a spark inside Daniel. He remembered Kaelor's deep voice saying, "Humans fight hardest when protecting what they love." And though Daniel barely knew Serai, he felt the truth. He could not let her fall into their hands. The silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken thoughts. Then Serai's voice softened, her eyes shimmering. "You are not Kaelor, and I do not expect you to be. But if you will have me, then I will stand beside you, not as your possession, but as your ally." Daniel's chest tightened. He had not asked for her. Yet here she was, offering herself not as a widow bound by law, but as a warrior choosing her ground. "Then we stand together," he said, his voice steady though his heart raced. For the first time, Serai smiled. Truly smiled. It was faint, fragile, but real. A warmth spread through the cold chamber. And Daniel realized that beneath her beauty, beneath her sorrow, there was strength and fire. But before he could say more, a sudden crash echoed through the halls of the great house. Daniel jumped to his feet. Serai's smile faded instantly. Her hand went to the side of her gown, pulling free a thin blade hidden beneath the fabric. The sound of footsteps thundered toward them. "They are here," she whispered, her eyes sharp now, glowing brighter than before. "I told you, Daniel, they would not wait long." Daniel's heart pounded. He had inherited more than a fortune. He had inherited war. The sound of footsteps grew louder, echoing through the long stone corridors of Kaelor's estate. Daniel's heart hammered in his chest as Serai stood ready, her blade gleaming faintly in the dim light. He had never seen her look like this, her grief replaced by steel, her glowing eyes sharp as fire. The door burst open, and 3 alien figures rushed inside. Their faces were marked with dark tattoos of Kaelor's rival clan. Their eyes burned with hunger and hatred. They carried curved blades that shimmered with a deadly light. One of them snarled, "The human thinks he can claim what belongs to us." His gaze slid over Serai like a predator eyeing prey. "And the widow, she belongs to the clan now." Daniel stepped in front of her, his voice unsteady but firm. "She doesn't belong to you. Kaelor chose me, and I won't let you touch her." The alien laughed, the sound sharp and cruel. "You are a human, weak and small. Do you think you can stand against us?" Before Daniel could answer, Serai moved. Her blade flashed like lightning, striking the first attacker across the arm. He howled, stumbling back. The others charged, and the room filled with chaos. Daniel grabbed the nearest thing he could find. A metal rod from the side of the chamber. He swung wildly, blocking one strike that would have cut him open. Sparks flew as steel clashed with alien alloy. Pain shot up his arms, but he held firm. Serai was a storm beside him. Her movements were fluid, deadly, beautiful. She ducked, spun, and struck with precision. Her blade sank deep into the leg of another attacker, dropping him to the ground. Blood spilled across the floor. Daniel fought with desperation, not skill. Every swing was survival, not training. Yet Kaelor's voice echoed in his memory. "Courage is not about strength. It is about standing when others would fall." The last alien raised his blade to strike Daniel down, but Serai leapt between them. Her blade met his in a clash that shook the room. With a final thrust, she disarmed him and pressed her weapon to his throat. The alien froze, his eyes burning with hatred. "This is not over," he spat. "You cannot protect her forever. More will come, and you will fall human." Serai's hand trembled, but she lowered the blade just enough to let him crawl away. The injured ones dragged themselves out of the chamber, leaving a trail of blood and curses. Silence returned, broken only by the sound of Daniel's heavy breathing. He dropped the metal rod and leaned against the wall, sweat dripping from his face. Serai stood tall, though her chest rose and fell quickly. Her silver skin shimmered with sweat, her gown torn and stained. "You saved me," Daniel whispered, his voice hoarse. Serai turned to him, her glowing eyes softening. "No," she said. "We saved each other." Daniel swallowed hard, his fear mixing with awe. He had never seen anyone move like her. She was not a helpless widow. She was a warrior, forged by Kaelor's side. But her words from earlier returned to him. More would come. This was only the beginning. "Why me?" Daniel asked suddenly, his voice breaking the silence. "Why did Kaelor trust me with you, with his fortune, with all of this? I am just a man. I am not strong like him. I am not one of you." Serai walked closer, her blade still in her hand. She looked into his eyes, her voice steady. "Because you are different. You do not see me as a prize. You do not see wealth as power. Kaelor knew that. He trusted your heart." Her hand, trembling slightly, touched his arm. The warmth of her touch burned through him. "And now," she whispered, "I must trust you too." Daniel's chest tightened. He had never felt such weight in his life, not even on the battlefield when he fought beside Kaelor. This was not just about survival anymore. It was about proving himself worthy of Kaelor's faith, and Serai's. As they stood there, the silence was broken again. This time by a faint humming sound. Daniel turned to see a small crystal cube glowing on the table in the corner. He recognized it as one of Kaelor's treasures, left behind in the inheritance. Serai's eyes widened. She walked to the cube and touched it gently. The glow brightened, and a voice filled the chamber. It was Kaelor's voice, deep and commanding. "If you hear this, then I am gone," the voice said. "And if you are Daniel, then you now understand the danger. They will come for Serai, for my fortune, for secrets hidden even deeper. You must stand human, you must protect her, for she is more than my wife. She is the key." Daniel's breath caught. The key? To what? The cube dimmed, falling silent. Daniel looked at Serai, confusion and fear in his eyes. But Serai's face was pale, her lips trembling. "He knew," she whispered. Kaelor knew this would happen. He knew the storm that was coming. Daniel reached out, his hand brushing hers. "Then we face it together," he said, his voice steady now. "Whatever storm is coming, I won't let it take you." For the first time, Serai's sorrow gave way to something else. Her eyes shone not just with grief, but with hope. But deep down, Daniel felt the truth. The shadows had only begun to move. The enemies outside were waiting, and the danger was far greater than he could imagine. The night was heavy with silence after Kaelor's voice faded from the glowing cube. Daniel and Serai stood frozen, staring at the small crystal that now seemed more alive than stone. The words echoed in Daniel's mind. "She is the key." The estate felt different now, no longer just walls of stone and glass. It was a vault of secrets, built by Kaelor not just for wealth but for something deeper. Daniel could feel it in the air, a hum, as if the place itself was holding its breath. Serai moved first, her silver fingers brushing the cube gently. "Kaelor was always preparing," she whispered, her voice soft. "He spoke often of enemies, of dangers greater than clans. But I thought his words were only fear after war. Now, I see he knew." Daniel frowned, trying to steady his thoughts. "What did he mean by you being the key?" Serai hesitated, her glowing eyes clouded with memory. "Kaelor told me things he told no one else, secrets of his travels, discoveries he made far beyond this world. He said I carried something within me, something that others would kill for." Daniel's heart raced. "Within you? What does that mean?" Before she could answer, the cube glowed again. A second message projected into the air. Kaelor's image appeared this time. His tall, armored form standing strong even in death. His deep voice filled the chamber. "Daniel," he said, looking straight ahead as though staring into Daniel's soul. "If you hear this, then fate has bound you to Serai. You must protect her, for she carries not only my love but the legacy of our people. She is the last guardian of the Starheart." The image flickered, showing a glowing crystal, bright as a star. "The Starheart is power, knowledge, life itself," Kaelor continued. "I stole it from those who would use it to enslave both humans and my people. I hid it, tied it to her, so that no one could take it without destroying her." Daniel's blood ran cold. Serai gasped softly, her hand flying to her chest as if something deep inside stirred. The message ended, leaving silence thick as stone. Daniel turned to Serai. "The Starheart? Inside you?" Serai nodded slowly, her eyes wide with fear and sorrow. "Kaelor bound it to me. I thought it was only a myth, a story he told to make me feel important. But it's real, Daniel. And that is why they will never stop hunting me." Daniel felt the weight of the universe pressing on his shoulders. It was no longer about a fortune, or even about a widow's safety. This was about something far greater. A power that could change the fate of entire worlds. He clenched his fists, anger burning inside. "And Kaelor left all of this to me? A human with no clan, no power? Why?" Serai stepped closer, her eyes shimmering like twin stars. "Because he knew you would not use it for greed. He knew your heart was not like theirs. That is why he trusted you." Daniel swallowed hard. He could almost hear Kaelor's laugh, deep and warm. "You humans, you always underestimate yourselves." As if answering his thoughts, the cube lit again. But this time, instead of Kaelor's voice, a map appeared, glowing lines tracing across star systems. One point pulsed brighter than the rest. A hidden vault. Serai's breath caught, That is where Kaelor hid the Starheart's resting chamber. But only I can open it. Daniel stared at the map, feeling both awe and dread. Then that's where they'll come too. The ground suddenly shook beneath them. Dust fell from the high ceiling. A low rumble echoed through the estate. Daniel's instincts screamed danger. Serai's hand went to her blade, her eyes sharp again. "They've already found us," she whispered. Daniel ran to the window, outside. Shadows moved across the courtyard, armored figures slipping through the night. Their weapons gleamed under the alien moons, dozens of them, maybe more. His stomach turned, but his heart steadied. He turned back to Serai. "We can't stay here. This house is a cage. They'll burn it to the ground with us inside." Serai nodded, her face calm but fierce. "Kaelor's fault lies beyond the city. If we can reach it, we may find the strength to fight them, but the journey will not be safe." Daniel grabbed the cube, tucking it under his arm. "Safe or not, we have no choice." The pounding on the great gates of the estate began. Shouts echoed in the alien tongue. The rival clan demanding surrender, demanding Serai. Serai stepped close to Daniel, her voice low and steady. "If you stay by me, there is no turning back, Daniel. This path will make you an enemy to many. You may lose everything, even your life." Daniel looked at her, at the sorrow in her glowing eyes, the strength hidden in her frame. He thought of Kaelor's trust, of the vow he had already made. His answer was clear. "I already made my choice," he said. "I'll protect you, Serai, no matter the cost." Her lips parted slightly, her breath catching. For a moment, the warrior's mask slipped, and he saw the woman beneath, the widow who carried both grief and hope. The pounding grew louder. The doors shuddered. The enemy was seconds away. Serai lifted her blade. Daniel grabbed the metal rod he had fought with before. Together, they turned toward the sound. The storm was coming, but in that moment, they stood not as master and widow, not as human and alien, but as two souls bound by Kaelor's last wish, and by something far greater beginning to grow between them. The gates of Kaelor's estate finally gave way. The crash of breaking steel echoed through the halls. Daniel and Serai had already escaped through a hidden passage that Kaelor himself once showed him. The narrow tunnel was dark and cold, but it carried them away from the burning shouts and clashing blades behind. When they emerged into the night, the city was glowing under twin moons. Serai's silver skin shimmered as she caught her breath. Daniel could see the tension in her shoulders, but also the strength in her stance. She was not broken, not weak, she was fire. They moved quickly through the back streets, shadows hiding them from the rival clan that now hunted them openly. Daniel carried the crystal cube tight against his chest. Every step felt heavier, as if the weight of Kaelor's will and the future of two species pressed down on him. Finally, they stopped in an abandoned courtyard, the silence broken only by the faint hum of alien machines in the distance. Serai leaned against a wall, her eyes glowing faintly in the moonlight. She looked tired but unyielding. Daniel lowered the cube and sat across from her. His chest burned, not only from running but from the thoughts spinning inside him. He had not asked for any of this, yet he could not turn away now. Serai's gaze met his. Her voice was low, almost a whisper. "You wonder why Kaelor chose you still, don't you?" Daniel nodded slowly. "I was his friend, yes, but all of this, it feels bigger than me. Kaelor trusted me with you, with the Starheart, but I am just a man, Serai. I'm not a warrior like him. I'm not even one of your people." Serai studied him, her glowing eyes searching his face. Then she spoke with calm certainty. "That is exactly why he trusted you, Daniel. The clan see only power, wealth, and bloodlines. But you see more. You see me, not as Kaelor's widow, not as a prize, but as a person." Daniel's chest tightened. He had never thought of it that way, but she was right. Every alien in the council hall had looked at her like an object to fight over. Not a woman grieving her husband, not a warrior carrying a secret. Her voice softened, trembling at the edges. Kaelor was strong, but even he feared that strength could corrupt. He told me once, if he died, only a human heart could keep me safe, because a human heart does not hunger for power in the same way. Daniel lowered his gaze. Kaelor's words echoed in his mind. His friend had seen something in him that he himself could not. The silence stretched between them. Heavy but not empty, Daniel finally spoke, his voice steady. I don't care about the fortune, Serai, or the Starheart. All I care about is keeping you safe, that is my promise. Her breath caught, her glowing eyes softened, and for the first time since Kaelor's death, a warmth touched her face. Not sorrow, not grief, but something else, something fragile. You speak of duty, she whispered, stepping closer. But I feel something more. Daniel froze, his heart pounded as she stopped only an arm's length away. Her silver skin seemed to glow brighter under the moonlight. Her hand brushed his, sending a spark through him that made him forget the cold night around them. Serai, he said softly, his voice rough with emotion. She looked into his eyes, her voice low. I cannot deny what I feel, Daniel, but you must understand. If you choose me, you choose war. The clans will never allow a human and me to stand together. They will come with fire and blood, and you will not only fight for me. You will fight against an entire world. Her words cut deep. Daniel felt the fear in his chest. But it was not fear of war. It was fear of losing her. He lifted his hands slowly, brushing her cheek. Her skin was cool, yet alive with energy. Then let them come, he whispered. I will fight them all, if it means standing with you. Her lips parted, trembling as if she wanted to speak but couldn't. Instead, she leaned into his touch for a moment, closing her eyes. A tear slipped down her face, but her smile was real, soft and unguarded. For a heartbeat, Daniel forgot the fortune, the Starheart, the hunters chasing them. All he saw was Serai. The woman Kaelor had loved, the woman Kaelor had trusted him to protect, the woman who now stood before him not as inheritance, but as choice. But the moment shattered with the sound of voices in the distance. The rival clan was closing in, their shouts echoing through the empty streets. Serai pulled back, her eyes sharp again, the warrior returning to her face. They are here, she said, her voice steady once more. We must move. The vault is close, but we cannot linger. Daniel rose quickly, gripping the cube, his chest still a storm of emotion. But his resolve was clear. He would protect her, not because of duty, but because of what had sparked between them, something Kaelor himself might have foreseen. As they slipped back into the shadows, Serai's words lingered in his ears. If you choose me, you choose war. Daniel had made his choice. The night sky burned with the glow of torches and energy weapons as the rival clan closed in on the city's edge. Daniel and Serai ran across the old causeway that led toward the mountains. The air was cold, sharp, filled with the hum of pursuit behind them. Every sound made Daniel's blood rush faster. They reached a ridge where the city lights ended. From here, the wild lands stretched into darkness. Serai stopped, her silver skin glowing faintly under the twin moons. She turned to Daniel, her blade already in her hand. We cannot run forever, she said, her voice steady. If we keep fleeing, they will only send more. Tonight, we fight. Daniel's heart pounded. He looked at her, at the fierce glow in her eyes, and nodded. He had never been trained for alien wars, but he had fought beside Kaelor once, and he would not break now. The first wave of enemies appeared at the ridge, armored figures moving with deadly precision. Their leader, a tall alien with black markings across his face, stepped forward. His voice thundered. The widow belongs to us, human. You cannot stand against the clan. Daniel gripped the metal rod he carried, its weight familiar now. She belongs to no one, he said, his voice hard. Kaelor trusted me, and I will not betray that trust. The alien leader sneered, raising his weapon. Then you will die for her. The battle exploded in a storm of steel and light. Serai moved like fire, her blade cutting through the first attacker. Daniel swung his rod with all his strength, blocking blows, striking with desperation. His arms burned, but he refused to fall. The ground shook as more poured onto the ridge. The clash of weapons rang through the night. Sparks lit the darkness. Serai fought with grace and fury, her movements sharp and precise. But even her skill could not hold them all back. Daniel's eyes caught something in the shadows. An entrance carved into the mountain. The symbol of Kaelor's clan etched above it. The vault, the place Kaelor had spoken of. His heart leapt. "Serai!" he shouted over the roar of battle. "The vault? It's here." Her gaze snapped toward it, her eyes widening. She fought her way back to him, blades slicing through the enemy line. Together they forced their way toward the entrance. The enemy shouted, realizing what they were doing. Just as they reached the heavy stone door, the rival clan leader appeared again. Blocking their path, his weapon glowed with deadly light. "You will not enter," he growled. "She is mine by right." Serai's voice rang like steel. "I am not yours. I am not anyone's. I choose who I stand beside, and I choose him." She pointed to Daniel, her blade steady. The leader roared in rage, striking at her with furious strength. The clash of their weapons lit the dark ridge. Sparks flew. Daniel leapt forward to help, swinging his rod with all his strength. The leader staggered back, snarling, his eyes burning with hatred. "Enough!" the leader shouted, raising his weapon high. "If I cannot claim her, I will destroy her and the human with her." Before he could strike, Daniel pressed the crystal cube against the stone door. The symbol above it flared to life, glowing bright. The ground shook, and the vault began to open with a low rumble. A wave of light spilled out, washing over the ridge. The enemies faltered, shielding their eyes. Serai grabbed Daniel's hand, pulling him inside. The door sealed shut behind them, cutting off the roar of the battle outside. Inside, the vault glowed with soft light. Ancient walls shimmered with strange symbols. At the center stood a pedestal, and above it floated a crystal bright as a star. The star heart. Daniel's breath caught. Its glow pulsed with power, filling the air with warmth and strength. Serai's eyes widened, tears shining. "Kaelor was right. It is real," she whispered. But even as awe filled the chamber, the heavy pounding on the vault doors began. The enemy was not done. The war had only just begun. Daniel turned to Serai, his voice steady despite the storm inside him. "If they want the star heart, they'll have to go through us." Serai stepped beside him, her hand brushing his. Her voice was soft but fierce. "Then we fight together, Daniel. Whatever comes, we fight together." The vault glowed brighter as if answering their vow. The war outside raged on. But within those walls, a new alliance was forged. Not of law, not of inheritance, but of choice and unbreakable will. And as the pounding on the doors grew louder, Daniel whispered to himself, "Kaelor, I won't fail you." The battle for the future of both their worlds was about to begin. The pounding on the vault doors grew louder. The heavy stone shook as the enemy outside battered against it. Sparks of light flickered along the cracks as their weapons struck again and again. Inside, Daniel and Serai stood before the star heart, its glow filling the chamber with a soft, pulsing light. Daniel could feel the power radiating from it. His chest tightened with both awe and fear. He was just a man. Yet here he stood, chosen to guard something that could change the fate of worlds. Serai's eyes shimmered with both grief and strength. She stepped closer to the star heart, her hand hovering just above its glow. "Kaelor bound it to me," she whispered. "If they claim it, they claim me. That is why he trusted you, Daniel. You were the only one who would never use me as a weapon." Daniel looked at her, the weight of Kaelor's trust pressing on him again. He saw not just a widow, not just a warrior, but a woman who carried both sorrow and fire. And in that moment, his duty became more than duty. It became choice. The vault doors cracked under another strike. Dust rained from above. The enemy's voices roared outside. The rival leader shouted, promising to tear the vault apart. Serai turned to Daniel, her silver blade gleaming in the star heart's light. "If they break through, they will not stop until one of us falls," she said. "Are you ready for this?" Daniel tightened his grip on the metal rod, his body trembling with exhaustion, but his voice steady. "I've been ready since the moment Kaelor asked me to protect you." The doors burst open with a thunderous crash. The rival clan poured inside, their weapons blazing with light. At their front was the leader, his black markings glowing with fury. His eyes locked on Serai and the star heart. "It ends tonight," he roared. The chamber exploded into chaos. Serai moved like lightning, her blade clashing against the leader's weapon. Sparks lit the air as they fought. Her strikes were sharp and fast, but the leader was strong, his fury fueling his every blow. Daniel fought beside her, swinging the rod with all his strength. He blocked one strike, then another, his arms screaming with pain, but he refused to fall, for every enemy that came near. He struck with desperate courage. The vault's glow seemed to pulse faster, filling Daniel with a strange energy. Each strike felt heavier, each breath sharper. He realized the star heart itself was lending them strength. Still, the enemy pressed harder. Their numbers filled the chamber. Serai stumbled under the weight of the leader's attack. His blade slashed across her arm, silver blood spilling onto the stone. "No!" Daniel shouted, rage exploding in his chest. He charged forward, swinging the rod with all the strength he had. The leader staggered back, surprised by the force. Daniel stood between him and Serai, his chest heaving. "You will not take her," he growled. "You will never take her." The leader snarled, raising his weapon high. "You are only a man human, you cannot stop me." But before he could strike, the star heart blazed with a brilliant light. The entire vault shook. A wave of power burst outward, throwing enemies back against the walls. The leader staggered, his weapon shattering in his hands. Serai's eyes glowed brighter than ever before. The star heart's light seemed to flow into her. She stepped forward, her voice ringing like thunder. "I am not your prize. I am not your possession. I choose my own path." With one final strike, she cut the leader down. His roar echoed through the vault before silence swallowed him. The surviving enemies fled, dragging their wounded with them. Their eyes wide with fear of the star heart's power. The chamber grew quiet again. Daniel dropped the rod, his chest heaving. He turned to Serai, who stood tall despite her wound. The glow around her slowly faded, leaving only the faint shimmer of her silver skin. He stepped closer, his voice soft but steady. "You are not mine because of a will or a law, Serai. You are mine because I choose you." Her eyes softened, tears shining as she whispered back. "And I choose you, Daniel. Kaelor was right. You were the only one who could stand with me. Not as master, not as guardian, but as partner." Daniel touched her hand, their fingers intertwining. The star heart glowed faintly, as if blessing their vow. Together, they walked to the vault doors. The battle behind them, but the war for the future still ahead. Outside, the night was quiet again, the moons casting silver light across the broken land. Daniel looked at Serai, his voice calm but firm. "We will use Kaelor's fortune not for power, but for peace. We will build something greater, something no clan can destroy." She leaned against him, her eyes glowing softly. "Then we begin together, human as one." Daniel lifted his gaze to the stars, his heart steady at last. "This is not the end, Serai," he whispered. "It's the beginning."